We spend so much of our lives online, clicking from one thing to the next. It feels completely instant, right? Almost like magic. But what's actually going on behind the scenes? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and explore the secret life of a single click. Just think about it for a second. You click, and in less time than it takes to blink, this whole complex world just appears on your screen. That's the end of an incredible journey that might have crossed thousands of miles. So let's trace that journey all the way back to the beginning.
All right, so before we can really get the journey, we kind of need to understand the destination. Like, what is a web page really? When you click a link, what are you actually asking the internet for?
Well, here's a pretty cool way to think about it. Imagine a website is a person. Seriously, every single site you go to is built from 3 core things. And just like a person, each of those things plays a very, very different role. First up, you've got the skeleton. This is called HTML. This is the absolute bedrock of the page. It goes way back, created by Tim Berners-Lee in the early 90s, and it gives the page its basic structure. All the content you see, the headings, the paragraphs, the images, that's all defined by HTML. It's the bones that hold everything else up. Okay, so you have a skeleton. But a skeleton needs some clothes, right? That's where CSS comes in. If HTML is the skeleton, CSS is the entire wardrobe. It takes that raw, kind of plain structure and makes it look good. CSS handles all the colors, the fonts, the spacing, basically the entire layout that makes a site feel nice to look at.
And finally, every person needs a personality. For a website, that's JavaScript. JavaScript is what makes a page feel alive, It's what lets it do things. When you click a button and a menu drops down, or you fill out a form and get a little message back instantly, yep, that's JavaScript at work. It's all about interactivity.
So let's put it all together real quick. HTML is the structure, the bones. CSS is the style, the clothes. And JavaScript is the behavior, the personality. Just about every single website you use is just a clever combination of these 3 things, working together.
Okay, so now we know what a web page is made of. We understand the blueprint. But how does that blueprint, all those files, get from a computer somewhere far away all the way to your screen?
At its very core, it's actually just a simple conversation. It's a little chat between 2 computers. There's your computer, which we'll call the client, and the website's computer, which we'll call the server. One asks for something, and the other responds. That's it. And the roles here are super clear. Your laptop, your phone, your tablet, those are all clients. They're the ones doing the asking. Servers, on the other hand, are these really powerful machines whose whole job is just to store all of a website's files and send them out when a client asks for them. And that conversation always follows the same basic steps. You click, your browser immediately sends a request out into the internet. That request zips across the world to find the right server. The server gets the request, finds the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files for that page, and sends them right back. Your browser then catches all those files, puts them together like a puzzle, and shows you the final web page. All of that in a fraction of a second. It's kind of wild. But that simple back and forth doesn't explain everything. What about websites that seem to know you? The ones that feel totally personalized? How in the world does that work? I mean, just asking for a file doesn't explain how my YouTube homepage looks completely different from yours. It's not just sending the same page to everybody. This is where the conversation has to get a whole lot smarter, a lot more dynamic. This is where the server basically gets a brain. Using special programming languages, the server can actually think. When your request comes in, it doesn't just grab a pre-made file. Nope, it runs a program that checks who you are, what you've looked up before, and then builds a brand new custom HTML page just for you right there on the spot. And of course, for a brain to be really useful, it needs a memory. That's what databases are for. A database is like the website's massive long-term memory. It's where it stores everything. Every user profile, every single video, every post, every single like. It's all kept in there. And that's the real power behind the modern web. When you combine that server brain with its memory, you suddenly get the ability to build the kinds of amazing, complex sites we use every single day. So, we've gone on this whole journey, from the anatomy of a little web page all the way to the huge, dynamic conversations that power our digital world. So what? Why does any of this matter to you? Well, the goal here isn't to turn you into a coder. Not at all. It's really just about being able to appreciate the incredible, elegant system that you're a part of every single day. It's kind of like knowing how a car engine works. You don't have to be a mechanic to think it's cool.
It's a small shift in how you see things, but it's a powerful one. The web isn't just a passive tool you use. It's this active, nonstop conversation happening between billions of devices all over the planet. And now, you have a little peek into the language they're all speaking. So I'll just leave you with this little thought. The next time you click a link and you see that page start to load, what part of the journey are you going to notice? Will it be the skeleton showing up, the clothes getting applied, or will you just be thinking about that invisible conversation happening in the background? Something to think about. Thanks for listening.